All right, welcome back to another exciting edition of How Do I Do This Anyways? Today's topic of conversation is we're going to take a logo that you like, or an image, or a picture, or something along those lines, and we're going to turn that into a 3D printable object, okay? Or make it be part of your 3D printable object. With the technique I'm going to show you, you can add this to any 3D model that you have, and you can actually make it any size you want. It's just whether or not it will be large enough to actually come out with a 3D printer with your resolution. So let's go ahead and get started. We're just going to get started in our normal fashion of we're going to do a new document. Let's see here. We're going to do a new part, and we want to make sure that we are a millimeters part. Now, if you have a size in mind as to how big you want this thing to be, I would suggest you start out by making a rectangle, square, circle, or something along those lines. Ooh, I'm in inches. That's not going to work for me. Tools, document settings, units, millimeters, apply, close. Try that again. There we go. So one recent project, I said 75 millimeters by 75 millimeters. Okay, so just by drawing that little square out will help you to understand how big your insignia actually is, or how big your image is. Now, if you want to place this on something or into something, you can go ahead and extrude that, and that way you have a solid object to place it on. If you want your insignia shape to be the outside limits of your object, you don't want to do that. You will just want to extrude it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and first off, find the image. Um, I'm just going to do a simple Reds logo. If you find a PNG file or an SVG file, those are the best ones, the easiest ones for you to copy and for you to import into Inventor. So what you want to do is find your file, find your image you want, right click it, and say Save Image As. And you want to save that into your flash drive in the project folder you're going to use, so that way you always have it there in the event something happens and you know exactly where it is. You don't have to go hunting for it, etc., etc. I already have it in there, so I'm not going to save it again. But what I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and come up here to, let's see here, I need to be in my 2D sketch. So I'm going to start it on that surface, and now I'm going to place an image. I'm going to come here to the insert portion of this and click image, and then I'm going to find it. And since it's a format that it'll actually read, you can tell that because it's reading it. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to go ahead and place it right there. Cool. Now, if that's the way you like it, if it looks good to you, great. If not, you can feel free to move this thing about. You can also scale this thing and increase its size, decrease its size. You just play with it a little bit and make it the way you want it to be. Now, once you finish that, that is just a part of a sketch. That's not an object yet. If we were to 3D print, like create an STL and 3D print this, this would come out as a rectangle and nothing more. So in our sketch, what we now need to do is we need to start some lines. So I'm going to grab my line tool. First off, I want to be looking straight on, but yeah, accidentally tried to drop a line over there, and just start clicking. Now notice when I'm just randomly clicking or randomly hovering over this, it does not give me any options to do constraints on this. I have to start making the lines in order to do that. Okay, so I just dropped my first line and it's wanting to continue making lines. I'm going to hit escape to drop that tool. I'm going to come over here to my arc, and I need to make sure that I am getting that green dot of a coincidence constraint. Every one of your lines, has to be a continuation of the prior line. So you have to make sure you are locking on to the prior section of the line in order to make it a closed object. So what you just want to do is do your best to trace the emblem. Depending on how much time you take, you will get a better product. I'm just going to try and do this rather quickly because I'm sure this is boring. But make sure you get your coincidence constraints. That's those little green lines. All right, so that should be it. Now I hit finish sketch, and you see how it kind of turns gray there? I can click my extrude button, and now I can extrude that. And that's essentially what you have to do. Okay. Now, the more complicated your sketch is, ooh, that's pretty ugly. Um, the more time you take, the better it turns out. And the more complicated your image is, the more difficult it's going to be. If your object does not extrude, that is because it is not a closed shape. And you have to go back through and you can easily, if I go ahead and click cancel here, I can go back into it, say edit sketch, and I can easily use my trim and extend tools to try and figure out what's going on and why it's not showing up correctly. Um, but yeah, it just becomes this tedious process of trying to make it work. So hopefully this video helped you out, and take care.